Hello, welcome to Office Hours FM episode 93. As always, I'm your host, Carrie Dills, and today I get the pleasure of not doing a video interview, but actually get to talk in person to my friend, Rebecca Gill. How are you?
I'm good. We're in Pressnomics and it's warm. It's awesome.
Yeah, so we're sporting Pressnomics. We're actually, we scrolled away to the hotel room because I forgot to bring my microphone and it's a little bit too loud to try this from the area where all the people are. At any rate, hello, welcome to the episode. Today we're going to be talking about your personal brand and how you present yourself on your website. And this is something I've struggled with. So I'm really excited to talk to Rebecca about it and hear your questions. If you are listening to this episode live, you can tag your questions on Twitter with hashtag OfficeFM, and we'll ask Rebecca. And if you are watching this via the Google Q&A, or excuse me, the Google app, use Google Q&A and you can send in a question. Now, on to more cool stuff before we get to the meat. The meat. That was awkward. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Office Hours FM. And that's what you get when you're at a hotel filled with nerds around lunchtime when everybody is hogging up the Wi-Fi. So apologies and excuse me for that. Yeah, so we, right before we abruptly went off air, I was thanking our show sponsors, SiteLock, who does WordPress security for companies large and small, and then Gravity Flow, which is a workflow plugin that works in conjunction with Gravity Form. So super cool. So like somebody sends in an email for your contact form, and you can set up some an automation sequence to maybe add them to a MailChimp list, to maybe send them out a follow-up question, to do all kinds of cool things. I'm actually trying it on my website, and we'll keep you posted on how that goes. Check them out at cdeals.me/gravityflow-plugin. And now, I don't know. I don't even know what's happening. But okay, so I've got Rebecca Gill on. Rebecca is I think you're probably my most frequently repeated guest on the show. Like if you go to officehours.fm/guests, you can see everybody that's been on the show, and I think there's like the number 8 by Gill.
This is why, though. Here's why. Because I take her dogs and I kidnap them until she puts me back on the show. It's kind of like a ransom.
Well, I know that she treats them really well when she's kidnapping them, so I'm not too concerned. And then my second me just dropped off the show. Wow, I know that you guys don't tune into the show for the stellar AV quality. I do appreciate your patience. So today we're talking about personal branding, and so for somebody like me, and I think a lot of the folks that listen to the show, our brand is ourself. So I don't have a company name. I just am Carrie Dills at carriedills.com. So when I'm writing, like on my services page or something like that, you don't want to just be all like, well, I do this and I do that. So you want to make yourself sound bigger. So you throw we do this. We offer this service. But that's not very genuine because
it's just you.
Yeah, I'm not a we, I'm a me.
I think it would depend how you presented it based on your target demographic. Who are you? Who is your client, your desired client, and who do they want? Because there are a lot of clients, especially particularly small people, that want a single person firm, right? I mean, and we have leads that come in, and that's not us, right? We're an agency, so we're not a good fit for them. They're looking for someone like you who is going to give them personal one-on-one attention, and that's what they want. So I wouldn't be afraid of that if that's your target demographic.
Okay, well, you just hit on a very important topic, which is having a target demographic.
Yes.
I know that when I started out, I did not. I was just sort of scattershot, and whoever would hire me was fantastic. How would you recommend going about finding who your target demographic is?
Or figuring out who it is.
Yeah.
I think part of it is, what are your strengths, right? So when I started the organization 7 years ago, I didn't want an agency. I just wanted to be a freelancer and just not lose our house. That was my goal. I did not have target demographics. I just wanted to help people, and I wanted to make money doing it. And I lived off of my old industry for that first year, which was ERP software and enterprise software, right? That became a target demographic for me. IT, B2B IT was a target demographic. It was a sweet spot because I knew it really well. Did I plan for that? No, but that was my starting point, and then I started to branch out from there. And I think as you figure your skill set out, right, and how you can best help people, that helps develop that target market. It's one way to do it. I mean, but then you also can do just some full-on introspection with yourself, your offering, and who you're really, really a good fit for, with like user personas and doing some.
User personas.
I know.
Okay, so a lot of this ties in really nicely with you just launched a course.
Yep.
To the top, Be better with SEO, and I'm doing it And one of the exercises that I just walked through yesterday was trying to make up those personas.
That's why I looked at her funny when I said it.
Yeah, because I haven't finished my homework yet. So let's talk a little bit about identifying those personas, how that plays into ultimately presenting your brand.
Okay. So user personas are groups of people that would be visiting your website and that you're going to provide a product or service to, right? Or when it could be, you can have user personas for your own clients that you're working with. Not everybody is going to have a user persona. If you're a very focused, very small, niche-based kind of company, that that is the persona right there. You don't have multiples, but there's a lot of people that do have multiples, and they can be industries, they can be levels within a corporation, they can be types of people, men versus women, B2B versus B2C, small versus mid-market. There's so many different types of personas, and it's a matter of figuring out who they are and then what are their pain points, and then transferring those pain points into what your offering is, right? What you offer to solve all those pain points. And a lot of people miss that step, but I think it's really important because it can benefit both the copy of your website and speaking to that client directly in their language, as well as your SEO. And I preach that in the course, which she hasn't found out about yet because she hasn't reached that part because she hasn't been doing it the last couple of days.
Well, I'm sorry. Somebody insists on keeping me out, and I can't do my homework because, yeah. So that's really interesting to me. Once you identify your personas, you said that you're targeting your website copy to them so that when they come to your site, they're seeing something that they can immediately identify with, or they're like, hey, I need that.
That's me. That's me. So everybody wants it to be about me, right? When I come to your website, I want it to be about me and how you can help me. And when you're defining user personas and you're articulating what their pain points are and you're reiterating them back to them, you're doing just that, right? You're speaking and you're connecting with them over the internet, and they don't even realize that you're doing it. And it's extremely in the right way, because example in my old industry is enterprise software. We would sell to like a C-level executive, the CIO or the CEO, and the CFO, right? And then also plant managers. Everybody would have different pain points. Somebody in accounting cared about numbers and year-end closing, and it was simple, and they wanted to be able to be in compliance. The IT guy wanted you to have his back. He wanted you to make sure that you were taking care of him, and you weren't going to get him in trouble, and there was maintenance and support. And the CEO wanted sales, right? He wanted to be able to have, he was concerned about profits and sales and revenue. You spoke to all of those different people different ways. They had different pain points, so you had to communicate differently from them. And once you start doing that and you start positioning yourself online like that, it's a win for you and it's a win for the client because they can help quickly realize that you're a good fit for them.
So what I'm hearing is that my personal brand has nothing less to do with talking about myself and more to do with talking about the person that I'm trying to serve.
Yes. Although you have to have personal brand. And mine, by the way, is my big fluffy hair.
And the internet connection didn't die on that one. She's her big fluffy hair. As a total aside, for Halloween, I've decided that I'm going to go as Rebecca Gill, and I'm going to tease this up. And
I've showed you my hair, and it does not need teasing to be big.
Well, mine needs teasing to be big, or excessive humidity. So you guys aren't asking questions today. Either you're quiet or we're not even broadcasting right now and the connection is down. But on Twitter, use #OfficeFM to ask Rebecca a question, or the Google Q&A.
See, we have questions right there. How do you target multiple personas? So yes, so an example is if you go to our Web Savvy site, you're going to see industries. It's in the top navigation, and when you go to that page and you look at that page, you're going to start seeing different industries that we target, and each page has some information on it for that specific industry. That page is designed to both bring people in through SEO, as well as when they come to the website, be able to view that list and say, oh, that's me, right? They have experience with my type of website, my type of problems. They know, or they should know, what I need to be successful on the internet. So for us, individual pages, and it will serve two purposes for that.
I like Paul's follow-up question. Are you sitting on a throne?
I am. Goes along with the big hair.
She needs a tiara, folks. So would you suggest then, well, let's talk, I'll share my personas that I came up with yesterday. Okay. And they may or may not be accurate, but so I came up with 3. One is, and the first 2 would be interested in products I sell. So maybe my theme or my courses.
Okay.
And the third one might want to hire me for actual client services, which I'm not offering right now. But those 3 would be the budding freelancer or the budding entrepreneur, like they're doing, just trying to get their feet wet, building their business, excellent at whatever their craft is, and now they're trying to wrap a business around that.
Okay.
The second is the DIY crowd. They're business owners, they're on their school board, they're whatever it is they do, they have the itch to actually try things themselves. They want to get their hands into the code and try it out. I have a lot of tutorials that target that crowd. And then the third one, the person that would not buy any products but might buy my services, is the seasoned professional, and that's someone who does not have the luxury of time to DIY. They want just direct, clear, no BS. This is what I need.
Do it.
This is what it costs. Can you do it?
Yep.
Sort of thing. So let's give me free advice, right? Why? Right? Well, let's just make this a counseling session.
Let's make this all about Carrie.
But wait, it can't be all about me, because then it's got to be all about my target. No, I know you're kidding. So would I do? So those are 3 different people. They would come to my site looking for very different things. So maybe the DIY is coming in off of organic search,
or word of mouth.
Word of mouth, lands on a tutorial page or something. The budding entrepreneur maybe listens to this podcast or found me through, it met me at a WordCamp, that sort of thing. Maybe they land directly on my homepage, and then the seasoned professional is probably going to land straight on my homepage. Do you recommend like trying to actually create different landing pages? Is going back to Paul's question, just going back to a different landing page for each of those persons, and then SEOing those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, and because the misperception is that people come to your website through the homepage. But if you do a solid job of SEO, that's rarely the case, right? It's a small percentage that actually comes in, and that's their first point of contact, right? So if those pages are, if you've done your work with researching and analyzing your user personas, as well as looking at the potential keywords for those, right? People will find that content and come into that page. And finding a page all about me and all about my needs, that's powerful, right? They're going to stick on the site. They're going to see what else you have to offer. And that page does the best if it has routes to other places on your website that offer that, right? So for the DIY comes in for tutorials. If you have a list of your most popular tutorials, right, things that would be of interest, as well as if there's a product you sell or some type of offering that you sell that pertains to them, having that on there, now you've given them a host of information, and they don't have to go anywhere besides just stay on your site and get it. They're not going to bounce. They're not going to leave.
I like that. I'm going to ponder that. And right after the show, I might have to cut the show off early because I got to go implement some of these things on my site.
But here's one thing, though. Not everybody, but there's probably a number of you, especially if you were just starting out and you watch this podcast to try to build your agency or build up your business, and you're probably questioning yourself, well, what are you going to put on there? What do you have to offer? You have something to offer. There's something special in that you can provide to somebody, right? that you're going to be of great value to them. Like I said earlier, people come to us wanting the one-person shop or the unicorn, which we're not. We're an agency, we're a team, and there's people that just don't want that. That's, you can deliver that to them. So never discount, the superpowers you have. You just have to figure out what those superpowers are and who they can serve.
You're excellent at identifying people's superpowers. Go over to websavvymarketing.com and what's the title of the post that talks about the peacock?
Oh, just Google be the peacock. I'm sure.
Be the peacock. Yeah. So a follow-up question on the landing page is Leslie asks, like true landing page, like there's no navigation.
Oh, no, because you want to keep them on the site, right? A true landing page with no navigation, I think of those as when you want them to convert with a form right then and there, which is not necessarily the case. You're trying to get people in and to find information that's going to be useful to them. So they do need navigation. They need to be able to, surf around your site and find out more about you and how you can help them. But I just say landing page because it's a landing. You're going to be landing there from an SEO-driven search or a link coming in from social media or even somebody else's website or blog.
That makes me go, or I'm thinking of an old Copyblogger post that talked about evergreen content having sort of a landing page like you're talking about, but it's something you keep refreshed and updated. It's not just a one and done throwing it out there.
No pages and posts should be one and done.
There you go.
Look, okay, how many of you have gone to WP Beginner, right? Guess what? They don't constantly create new content all the time. They're going back and they're updating the old posts and they're making them relevant and they're keeping them fresh, which is bringing you back and back and back and back. It's powerful when you update your content.
She said it. The boss said it. We do it. The vendor asked, which is your current go-to SEO plugin, considering all the bad buzz about the Yoast SEO right now?
Okay, so Yoast SEO is a good plugin. The beefs I've had with the recent UI changes, he just released a new version of it, which is supposed to fix some of those. I mean, if you do massive amounts of optimization, they were super challenging. But I will tell you that I would also consider All-in-One SEO from Michael Tolbert. He's a great person. He is coming out with some new stuff I hear might be coming. So don't discount that and keep an eye out where he goes with that, because I think that he's been around for a very long time, so has that plugin, and I think having some good, healthy competition between All-in-One and Yoast will be good for all of us.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is because you got to SEO your content, right?
Yes.
So there's that, and then you layer on a plugin where you can, customize the meta or maybe a couple of other, whatever your Google's rich snippet is.
Yep.
How important is that plugin to the, like in the final piece of the puzzle to making your content
optimized?
Yeah.
Right. So I think it depends on your personality and your structure. So if you're new to SEO, I think that Yoast is very good with trying to optimize that page for you and teach you what to do. If you're solid with SEO and you have a good keyword map and a good plan, All-in-One works really well. It doesn't currently have any type of focus keyword, but if you know what you're doing, and you've got your map planned out, so you don't need that reinforcement there. But they're both of value. And one of the most important things that people overlook is that meta description, and I talk about this in the course a number of times. That meta description is your first time. So you know what meta is when you search for a term in Google and you see for the search results the title and the short description and then the link. So there's the meta title and the meta description. That meta description, that meta title, you can control that with those plugins, with both of them. It's your first opportunity to sell to people. They haven't even come to your website yet, and you're already reaching out to them. And I don't say sell as in slimy sales. I mean connect with them, right? So write those descriptions, write the title in a manner that is both SEO friendly, but also will actually relate to whoever you're trying to bring in and make them want to click through your site. It will have a big impact on traffic and click-through rates.
Jesse has a fantastic question. He asks, when updating content, do you simply change the content and update the meta box or like the publish date and republish? Or like, does that, now I feel like we're kind of having an SEO conversation, but does that ding you if you change the...
So I wouldn't, Jesse, I wouldn't change the publish date, right? Because having a page that has been out there for a while and that you're updating is actually a positive thing for SEO. There are ways to come in and put in data that says last updated, right? You can do it within the code, or you can actually add it to the post itself. And here's an example. Someone reached out to me this week and said, hey, I would like to ask if you can put our master or something podcast, Mastermind FM, on your list of WordPress podcasts. I said, sure, I did it, but I also, since it's a newer podcast and this post was over a year old, I just put a little line in there that said I updated it this date. And I also went from Genesis Office Hours over to Office Hours FM because it's been out there for a while. There's that date, but I want someone to see that I updated it for both the users and the search engines.
There's actually, I might have written a tutorial on it. I can't remember. If not, there are definitely some Genesis tutorials out there, or even just regular WordPress tutorials, but of how to add. It has the original, but like your byline has the original published date and then so last updated on.
See, we're a good duo.
Okay,
I come up with the idea. You tell them how to implement it. So we get along.
So going back to the personal brand and presentation part, let's talk about what a terrible about page looks like and what a great about page looks like.
Oh, those are hard to write. I mean, painful, because no one likes to write about themselves. I think a bad about page is short, cold, unfriendly, and solely talks about you, right? A good about page is more welcoming and warm and provides how you help other people. Not necessarily your services, but more about you and how you interact with the community around you and your customers.
Does anybody come to mind? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have a great about page, but any sites come to mind that just...
No, but I modeled ours after, when we redesigned our site, I went and looked around and I did research, right? Because I'm very data driven. So I did look at other websites and I found examples of what I liked. And then I gave that to our graphic designer and said, here's the information. I wrote information before she designed it. And I said, here's what I want. And here's some design elements that I like. And you'll see that we talk about, and not that I'm the expert at this, but we talk about how many clients we've served, how many products we've launched. We're recognized in the Genesis community, like by Studio Press. We're on, I'm blanking on the other list, Code Poet, you know what I mean? And that's, so while I'm talking about us, but I'm also talking about the community, so it's not completely egocentric.
Okay. Let me tell you something that I thought was really cool when I first saw it, but now I think maybe it's terrible for an about page. It was a developer, and he had this nifty graph, and it was like HTML 100%, CSS 100%, PHP 80%, or a list of JavaScript 73% or whatever. So it's this kind of visual representation of a skill set. But then,
is it good? Will it translate?
Will it translate? Like, as somebody who's looking for...
Who's your target demographic? Do they know what PHP is? HTML? Do they know the difference? Will it be anything of meaning to them? If the answer is no, then that sucks. However, if it's somebody like me starting out 7 years ago that got myself in trouble and I realized that I had a problem with PHP, and I come to that page and I'm like, ooh, they just, they're 100% of PHP, and I can see that they're being real because they gave themselves lower ranks in something else, but that helps me qualify you and go, ooh, they could be my fit. Right? So it's going to depend on who's your target demographic.
Who's your target? Okay. Okay. All right. There you have the about pages. We've got some good questions coming in. Thank you, folks. Let's see. Leslie says, you mentioned on the SEO webinar week, you did, or Google is frowning on linking back to sites from, okay, so say you develop a site and in the footer of that you say developed by Carrie Dills and
Yes.
it links back to my site. So
Yes.
Google says no on that?
I love this question. Okay, so when I did SEO week for iThemes, right? And I said that Google's current policy for having links in your footer is negative, and that if you were a theme developer, you should not do that. Someone came in on Twitter and blasted me for that and said, I can't believe you're saying that, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Google just updated their quality guidelines and it's on their website. And guess what they have in there? They have like a reference to that. They don't call WordPress out specifically, but they do have a reference to it. It is frowned upon. Don't do it. If you're going to put it there, just use the name. People can Google and search for your name. I mean, we'll do it sometimes on client sites, but it just says website, by Web Savvy Marketing with no link. I mean, you're providing the information. You don't need the link back, because do not fight against the Google.
That is the takeaway from the show, folks. Do not fight against Google. You heard it first here on officehours.fm. Thank you, Rebecca Gill. Let's see, rolling back through some questions. Paul asks, so going back to the personas, a wedding planner, would you have personas for, I've got tons of money, I've got only a little bit of money, I got a shoestring? I would say
yes.
Okay.
You're not going to call them out as poor. You're going to use more positive,
budget-minded.
Yes, for the budget-minded couple. But before you decide what you're going to call that, you should go do keyword research within the AdWords tool to see what the search volumes are per month. That will help guide you to what would be the good phrases to use. But if you think about that, if you are a wedding planner and you have both rich clients and poor clients and middle-class clients, you're going to be providing something different to each group of people. They're going to have different budgets. And so you need to speak to them differently, right? The person with lots of money is going to want luxury, and you're going to create their dream wedding, and it's going to be a magical day, right? They're going to be the princess. If you've got the budget, they want to know how much you can maximize their money and their budget to give them a great wedding, but at a reasonable price point. So I think that's a great example of personas, and a page for each one of them with a route to get there from the homepage. So that when they come to the website, they can quickly identify which category that they're in and get over there and learn more about the services.
Paul, I didn't realize you were a wedding planner.
Paul has got some great questions today.
Let's see, Devendra asked, he says, recently a lot of my clients came with these super duper long landing pages, which are I've seen the sales pages that just scroll on and on and on, and are those still effective, or is that era gone?
I've never been a fan of the cheesy squeeze pages with all the orange text and the arrows and things like that. That they work, that they would not translate with our target demographics, so we've never used them. However, I do think that in the modern age of iPhones and iPads, and even my Mac, where I can just do a 2-finger scroll real quick, people are adept to utilizing scanning through the long pages. And I think from a design standpoint, it's important to make sure that they can scan, right? And there's clear buckets and definitions to the page, so it's not overwhelming. And if the design's done well, I think that page can very well, convert. Although I would not bury your contact form or whatever it is you want the conversion at the bottom, because they may never reach it.
Along the way.
Yeah.
I've actually on numerous occasions Googled best converting landing page designs or something, and seems really interesting.
And here's an important part about that and how it relates to SEO. Google likes long-form content. People share long-form content. There's been a lot of research done on what gets more social shares, what ranks better. It isn't a blog post or a page that's 300 words. That's not going to work in today's environment on the internet. There's too much information, there's too much competition. So if you make a longer page that has really quality information, it'll serve you with both bringing the search in as well as reinforcing the message when the person gets to that page.
Good stuff. Jesse has one. He's a question for Rebecca Gill, who just so happens to be my guest today. How important do you see the email list for a service-oriented business? Clients are one and go, or maybe a monthly retainer type situation?
I think the email is important for both staying in front of prospects who have not fully committed with you yet, and for staying in front of existing clients, because it's the branding recognition, which was the point of our show to begin with. You know, I mean, it's part of your branding, right? You're reinforcing the brand, you're reinforcing what you offer, that you're an authoritative person or agency on a certain topic matter, and it's staying in front of them. So I think that list is very invaluable. And I can tell you, when I launched the SEO course, the first thing I did was push it out to our existing client base through email, just to say, hey, I just want to touch base with you and let you know we just released this, and you know, if it's a value, here you go, and oh, by the way, here's a coupon code to use. So I mean, it's I couldn't do that with the email list, and it's easy to build an email list if you actually just try. When I first started the organization, I didn't, and I started a couple of years, and I didn't do it, I think, till year like 4, and we have, I think, 4,500 people on our list without me really actively trying to do it. And I look at that and think, man, I was an idiot for not doing it for the first 4 years and utilizing it. So it's important.
Get the list. Actually, a few episodes back, had Chris Handy on the show, and we were talking specifically about email marketing and building your list. That might be a great episode to catch up on, Jesse, if you haven't heard that one yet. And then Devinder's question actually plays right into that. Do you keep touch with your old but not currently active clients?
So Devinder, in my perfect utopian world, I would absolutely make a personal call to each single one of them, because I am the brand of the business, right? They were brought in through me. My team did a stellar job executing, but you know, it was that interaction with me that sold them. If I had time for that, I would absolutely do it. I think it's a great way to just say, you know, just want to touch base with you, see how you're doing, if there's any way that we can help you out. Because I do think it would bring in maintenance revenue, or people who want to refresh, or maybe some SEO services. I don't live in that utopian world. I always have way more work than I can do. So we don't do it. But I think if you have the time, I would recommend you do it, because I think it'll translate well.
I just started, I'm actually still on the 30-day trial, but I'm going to pull the trigger on it. A service called Contactually. I learned about it from Curtis McHale, but it basically takes your contact list and kind of keeps eyeballs on your inbox, and kind of lets you know, like, hey, you haven't talked to Rebecca Gill in 3 months or however long. So you can put your contacts into different buckets, like active clients, inactive clients,
daily
prospects. Yeah, all of those things, and set reminders of how frequently you want to keep touch with them. But Curtis is, he's got a couple of articles on it, I think, over at his blog, curtismchale.ca, but talks about how that's been a great way to stay in front of clients and even get business from a prospect like a year after the initial contact, just by staying in front of them.
And people launch more than one website. We've launched multiple websites for individuals, right, as well as businesses. It always kills me that once you give them a successful website, how much people want to launch more, and they come up with brilliant ideas that need some type of graphic, website, email, something. There you have it.
There you have it. Jesse, I will not be at WordCamp Tampa this year, I don't think, but I can't say that for sure. It's a ways off. I only plan a couple months out in advance. We're about a little over halfway through the show. Appreciate the great questions. Keep them coming on. I did want to very much thank our site sponsors, and I think I totally jumbled the read at the beginning due to the video problems. But wanted to thank SiteLock, WordPress security, keeping your site secure, keeping your client site secure. They have a special going on, 30% off for officehours.fm listeners. If you go to cdills.me, it's a pretty sweet short link, don't you think? cdills.me /go SiteLock. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with those guys a little bit more at this conference. You will see them occasionally hosting a WordCamp, maybe one next to you. They're newer to the WordPress community. I don't think a lot of people know their names, but these guys have been doing this for a very long time. Their customer base is massive. They're solid folk. And then we've got the Gravity Flow plugin, and I was actually really hoping to meet Steve Henty, the creator of that, at Pressnomics, but he ended up not being able to come. But Gravity Flow is a plugin that works with Gravity Forms to help sort of automate a workflow. So if you've got back and forth, actually a perfect use would be for those initial client prospects. So somebody comes in off your website, you want to kick back maybe a canned response of, hey, got your email, I'll be getting back with you, and by such and such. You can set these triggers, and well, anyways, I'm not explaining it very well. Sorry, Steve. I'm gonna get better at this. But check them out at cdills.me/gravityflow plugin. And next week I'll give you examples of how I'm using that. So we have talked a lot about not personal brand. We've gone all over, but see, Rebecca's so smart in so many things. I just like to pick her brain on all sorts of topics. But let's use you as an example, because you just mentioned that you are your brand.
Yes.
You are web savvy marketing, not Rebecca Gill, but what do you mean when you say you are your brand?
So when I started the company, I was known as ERP Rebecca because that was my old industry. So I started using Twitter as web savvy, and because I was trying to build that web savvy brand and to get me segregated from the land of ERP and over to WordPress. And you all, for a very long time, always referred to me as web savvy, right? Because I did that. Reached that tipping point where that went away, and I was web savvy. And then I actually switched and I started using Rebecca Gill, and I was pushing Rebecca Gill more because I had established the web savvy brand. I think that there's both a personal as well as a search component to that. When you used to search my name, Google would come back and go, hey, you mean Rebecca Gill ERP? That was the suggestions at the bottom. Forever. It's like they had this memory of an elephant. And then it finally went over to like Rebecca Gill WordPress. And then because, I've been doing so much with SEO over the last year, now when you search my name, it comes back Rebecca Gill SEO at the bottom, right? So you are always, whether you think it or not, you are always your brand, both at the person as well as the organization. And when you're in an industry like we are, and we're entrepreneurs, they go hand in hand, right? And if you've got a team of people, your team's your brand. Your team's your brand too. There's someone on our team who is an ordained minister. You all know who this is if I said the name. Ordained minister, very religious on the internet, and there have been times where he questioned something that he did because of what a client or what people would think with associated to the web savvy brand. And my response has always been, I don't care. Part of who he is the fact that he's an amazing person, and being an ordained minister in the religion, that's a core part of him, is part of his brand. It's part of my brand, right? It all goes together. And if someone doesn't like that and that's offensive to them, they're not going to be a good client for us anyways, right? So I answered that kind of in a roundabout way, but I think they're very interconnected.
Authenticity,
absolutely. At both the agency level and the individual level.
I got nothing. I blanked out.
But I think it's embracing who you are, right? I have skill sets, but then there's also skill sets I don't have, right? So I embrace what I am and what I'm not. We're not a unicorn agency. I'm not a unicorn. I don't develop. I don't have graphic design skills. I don't brand myself as such, right? I have opinions on usability, and I have opinions on graphic design and how you utilize that within the website, but I'm never going to brand myself as I'm the expert in any of that, right? Because that's not me, that's my people. But I will more than happy to say, yes, I'm great at SEO because I've been doing it for 15 years. So you have to be selective in your authenticity and where you're going to focus it at.
Sure. Bill Erickson is a great example. Go to his website, billerickson.net. He is a Genesis developer. He doesn't do design.
Yes,
he doesn't
example.
Do the full service route. And if you go to his website and his services page, he states that rather explicitly. And he is, probably the number one name when you think of a great Genesis developer. And that's because he's established himself as doing that one thing exceptionally well and not trying to say that he does the whole ball of wax.
And have you noticed he's been shifting his branding lately?
He has.
He always was Bill Erickson, and now he is Erickson Marketing Services or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
I did notice he changed the name. I can't.
Yeah,
recall
so he's
what
been shifting, which I would assume means he is building a team, although I can't speak to that for certain. But he's making a conscious effort to shift his online brand from just him.
So, well, Paul's asking a question that falls right in line with this. Is there, let's say you are just a solo person like myself, are you better off going under your name? In Paul's case, Paul Oyer, wow, I am tripping all over that. Or would you just say Euler Creative, or make up a business name?
I think so. If you're a single person agency or firm, I think the core of the branding is you, the person. But I think having a company name outside of your name shows professionalism and will give a lot of clients a sense of ease that you've gone to the step of incorporating and you're an LLC, whatever that case is, but you've thought beyond the code or the design. So I think you're going to have an easier time branding yourself and your positioning yourself as an expert instead of the company, right? But once you have a team, it has to be the team that you're promoting. You can't always be yourself. I mean, like I said, I'm open with the fact that I don't code and I don't design. I have a great team for that. We're a package deal whether you want it or not.
Or you can just tack on "and the Pips." So Gladys Knight, and then when she had her team behind her, she upgraded to "and the Pips." I don't know what made me think of "and the Pips," other than it's sort of fun to say. Huh. Well, interesting. I actually am. I'm an LLC, but my LLC name is very generic and not something I would ever use on my website as a business front. So I just do business as.
Your brand is totally you, and you have a great brand because you are authentic with who you are, what you do, and what you're good at. See, you don't hide it.
This is why I invite you on the show, to make me feel good about myself. Thanks, Rebecca. Cape Dave gives a shout out. Hello to you. Glad you're able to tune in live today.
Hello, Cape Dave.
Let's see. Go back to some SEO topics a little bit. Devendra asked, besides the organic push, how much should a small business website invest in AdWords or Facebook ads, paid ads to get eyeballs?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question because I view pay-per-click as cocaine for marketers. It's money that you spend and it's a short-term rush with no residual long-term value. So I really stay far away from pay-per-click. There's opportunities where it can be useful. We do actually have, that's a topic in the course is, for examples where it is of value, you're just starting your website up, it's the organic traffic's going to take time to build, use pay-per-click in that time frame to cover you. Another example is you are done really well with certain keywords, but you can't manage getting organic traffic in for other keywords, right? So your option would be to go over and get pay-per-click, right? You can't pick every keyword battle, so go after the ones that you can with organic, and the ones that you can't, consider doing pay-per-click. Facebook ads I've not done a ton with, because again, I rely just a lot on the organic traffic that social media and networking and organic SEO brings.
Well, it probably depends on who your audience is, if your audience is on Facebook or not.
Yeah, because I mean, literally, so, and here's the interesting thing about our business, and I said this recently somewhere, I don't remember where though. Or it was actually in a LinkedIn question. I get custom development work through LinkedIn, right? And these could be $5,000 to $30,000 projects come in through LinkedIn because they see my activity on LinkedIn. I sell stock themes and the SEO course through Facebook and Twitter, right? Those are two different offerings and price points and clients who would buy those. But that also shows that the power of the social networks and the fact that different social networks are going to target different things. If you're targeting a mom, you need to be on Pinterest and Facebook all day long. You're not hanging out on LinkedIn if it's mom things you're selling, right? Not business things. If you're offering is business to business, most likely those people are on LinkedIn. If you're targeting on LinkedIn. So, that's the perfect target demographic and how to reach them.
It seems so perfectly obvious and logical, but
it is to me because I'm old and I've been doing this for a while. But it wasn't when I first started 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Leslie asked, what length range does Google consider long form content?
Gosh, I wish I knew the source of this article, but there's a recent article, and it was not necessarily Google, but just what ranked and what had good social shares, and social shares do influence search and traffic. But it was like 1,500, I think, to 2,000 or 2,500 were the articles that had the most social shares and that ranked the best, right? So when I'm going to write something of value, I try to make it at least 1,500 words, although I don't like have a hard, it's got to be this. I mean, the content has to have meaning to people reading it. So it can't just be fluff. We leave the
like
fluff to my hair, yeah, not to the content.
Oh, I'm so glad we're both on the same page about your hair. Chris put out a tweet. He says the most helpful addition to his branding toolbox, it's storybrand.com/workshop. The info in their free newsletter is incredible. I'm not familiar with them, but thank you, Chris, for sharing that. Check them out. Learn more about that. Okay, so if you have any more questions, this is your time to get them in. Otherwise, I'm just going to hog Rebecca up for some free consulting while she's sitting here next to me.
We're sharing a room, so it's not like we don't talk about this at 12 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning.
So Paul brings up a great point. Usually we get tons of great questions from Savvy Jackie on the show, but Savvy Jackie is here at Pressnomics and actually attending a session right now. So she didn't use Buffer to set up a list of questions ahead of time. I'm very disappointed in her. But next episode, I'm sure she'll be back in full.
We'll scold her later.
Yeah, we'll be sure to scold her. So is there anything on the, when it comes to how you present yourself and your services on your website, is there anything that you want to share that we haven't asked the right question to get to that information?
Yes. Real you sells, right? People don't want what the Facebook highlight reel, right? They don't want all of just everything that seems sparkly and perfect, because that's not real, right? That's intimidating. It's fake. It's not authentic, right? The real you is what's going to sell, and the more that you can bring in the real you into your personal branding and how your business branding, the more that will resonate with people. When I blog, whether it's, and I talk about industry things, I mix in things like what I learned from sponsoring my son's baseball team, right? He won the championship. He was 9. See, I'm just going to cry at this. He was 9, and he was so proud that he had this big trophy, but he was even prouder that they gave me the trophy. They gave me even the bigger trophy, and I didn't even know I was getting it because I was the sponsor of his team. And that spoke volumes of, what you can do, and he's proud of his mom's business, and he makes me little Christmas gifts that his website was awesome, puts them in frames. I mean, it's things, but that's me being authentic and saying, here's how what we do affects me and my family. Or I've talked about how we do an annual scholarship for the hometown I grew up in because it's a northern Michigan town. People read that, right? They've come to me and they've said, I read this and I really like this about you and your firm. And you would think that wouldn't translate with anybody, but it does. I had a very large client that we won, and one of the things that he liked was the fact that I was connected with the community. And he saw a picture of me at Cabo Press the first year with other, leaders from the WordPress community, and that meant something to him. And it gave him a confidence in us and that we were sticking around and that we were well vested in WordPress. That wasn't me pitching anything. That was just out there on the internet, but he was stalking me and he found it. So, and it was real, right? It was real. So I think that the more that you can infuse that into your marketing efforts, the more benefit that you're going to have, and the more quality relationships you're going to have with even better clients, because that's really the kind of client that you want, because they're vested in you and they're vested in the project.
You attract clients that are picking up whatever it is
Yes.
you're putting off.
Yes.
And if you're putting off something false, you're going to get clients that are not really the
And guess
clients you want to
what?
work with.
I want a client who values the fact that we sponsor the Little League team or that I have high school scholarship and I want to give back to the community. That's the client I want. And by talking about that, that's the client I've attracted. That's a good point.
Awesome. Thank you. I have them once every blue moon. Devendra asked, what is next for Web Savvy Marketing? You're going to do some more consolidating?
I'm doing more courses. I'm doing more courses. I really enjoyed writing that course over December and January, and I've had so much good feedback for it. It's been, and I wasn't going to hear it. The funny thing is I was not going to write the course. It was Corey Miller's idea, and he kept peppering me to do it, you know, and take that knowledge and put it out there so people who could not afford to hire me at $200 an hour for SEO could purchase the course and be able to learn to do good SEO in a well-structured manner. And it's been great. I've so loved it, and so I want to do more. So they'll be coming.
It's addictive doing courses.
Apparently, who knew? Who knew? But that's how I got wrapped into the theme store, right? Because I didn't want to do the theme store either. And then we went from like 0 to 35 more themes and courses too. I can't do anything normal.
Well, none of us are normal, so it's all right. You're all good. Yeah, since I did that web development workflow webinar that's a lot of W's last year. I had so much fun doing it, and I've been itching to do another one. It's just, you know, that time finding it and grabbing it.
And when you find what makes you, because I felt, you know, a true confession over the last 2 years, I really have felt like I've lost my sparkle. Everything that I loved about web design and, you know, running the agency just kind of felt like it was draining out of me because I'd been doing it for so long, and there was nothing new and nothing fresh, it felt like. And by, you know, starting to do the themes brought me my sparkle for a while, but you got to keep them up, and there's a lot of things that are challenges that go along with running a theme store. And when Corey was pushing me to do the course and I started to write the course, I could feel my sparkle coming back again. Right? It was like creeping in, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to embrace this. I need to embrace this. And I think it helps you produce, it helps you market, it helps you sell, and it helps with all of the aspects of branding, because it goes back to being authentic. You know, if I'm happy about it and I enjoy doing it, that's going to translate when I talk about it. They'll see it. And there's nothing I love more than when you talk to somebody and they start telling you about what they're doing in their product and their face lights up. Right? Syed Bulky did that this morning when he was telling me the things that he was working on. He went from a grown man to a 2-year-old toddler with a brand new toy. Because he was so excited to talk about the new features he was working on. You know, that's his sparkle. And when you dedicate yourself to something that really makes you happy like that, it's bound to be a success, no matter how hard you try. It's not good. Because it's everything aligns up for you.
Do what energizes you. Yes. And that's solid right there. Well, we have come to an end of yet another, I think, a fantastic chat with Rebecca Gill. I love this woman. Go follow her over at websavvymarketing.com or on Twitter at at Rebecca Gill. If you want to get the officehours.fm newsletter, which I don't know why you wouldn't, just head over to officehours.fm/subscribe. I never spam you. I send you one little email a week, just giving you an update on my guest for the next week. Let's see. We got one more question rolling in, so we're going to roll with it. We've got Wirebird Media. She says, what do you use for your courses? Rainmaker, Cincy?
No. So I use LearnDash. LearnDash is made by a developer named Justin. He is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is local to me. And here's one thing that I found in life. When someone comes to you and makes a point to say, hey, would you try this, or would you consider, and you embrace it, good things come from it, right? That it's one example. The SEO week I did with Corey Miller for iThemes. Did he pay me to do that? No, it was because I love Corey as a person and I wanted to help his community. I have been given back financially from that more than I could imagine, right? And there's been lots and lots of cases with that. Justin came to me at a WordCamp and said, hey, would you mind trying out LearnDash? And I said, sure. So he gave me a license. I tried it. We built some stock themes around it for Genesis. He put those on his store so that they would, come over and find it, and they bought my themes, so that came back with that. And oh, by the way, in doing that, I learned a lot about LearnDash, and we've launched clients with custom design on LearnDash, and I realized I really, really liked it. And he had a great platform for building out the course. So Rainmaker's great. I'm sure Sensi's great. But if you are looking for an LMS, consider LearnDash, because Justin is not just a developer. He comes from a learning background. He's worked with Fortune 500. That was his background. That was one thing that really attracted me to him and it. Because he's bringing that knowledge from his past life into the plugin and giving you that knowledge so that you can be successful with launching a course.
Sweet. Well, with that, thank you guys. Those of you who tuned in live, thank you as always for the excellent questions. You guys are awesome. And if you're catching this after the fact, I'm glad you were tuning in as well. You can always drop me a line, hello@officehours.fm, if you just want to say hello. With that, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day or your evening, depending on where you are, and I will see you next week. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.